Hello everyone, welcome to LUKMAAN IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 16th April 2021. So let us see which are the important articles in today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, so these are the important articles, mains related articles and prelims related articles. Let us have review of all these articles first and then we will go into details of all these articles. First, on the trail of the second wave's dynamics. So the experts are giving some analysis on how this second wave is evolving and progressing of the COVID-19 pandemic in India and the present situation. Some important data is mentioned in the article. However, the important aspects of this article, the input that we are going to take is the way forward, that is the measures that the government needs to take to deal with this second wave. So from COVID-19 follow-up, we are going to take input here. Similar manner, next article, lessons from the first wave. So on page number 7, op-ed page, the article is again talking about some of the inputs, feedback that can be taken from how we dealt with the first wave of COVID-19 pandemic, and we should not make the same mistake now while dealing with the second wave. This is the view that we are going to take here and what should be the way forward again in dealing with this second wave. Okay, these are the mains related articles, especially prelims related articles, UNFPA. So here we are talking about the population report released by UNFPA. So reports and indices along with international organizations. So what is this population fund, United Nations Population Fund? So the important inputs regarding international organization and this state of world population report 2021. So highlights of that report. Okay, so we are going to take input accordingly here. Then Ramaswamy temple from art and culture perspective, here we are going to understand Nayaka architecture style. So Friday review supplement is there on page number 3. Important inputs from art and culture aspects. Many such articles appear, especially from southern India. So all those art and culture aspects from southern India, largely they appear in this Friday review. Along with that, we have to understand some nitty-gritties, basics about this art and architectural style, about this Ramaswamy temple. Then, wholesale price index inflation quickens to a record 7.4%, and the reason, what is the reason behind this increase in inflation, wholesale price index, and then the basics about WPI. Okay, so from economy part, we can understand how the inflation is calculated at wholesale level from this index. Let us go in detail of all these articles. First, on the trail of second wave's dynamics. Surely, the first part of the article has given many facts while, let's say, supporting the analysis that the second wave, we are reaching to the peak of second wave at present, and it is almost 55 to 60 days that we are into the second wave, and if in coming next week suppose the peak is achieved, the similar number of days will be there further to reach to the endemic stage of this second wave. Along with that, it is also saying that surely the transmission rate of this in the second wave is more. Along with that, the age group is, let's say, the infection, more infections have been seen in the younger age group as compared to the first wave where older age group had more infection. This is the reason. The reason for this is that surely the younger population is going out of the houses for work purpose, traveling outside, reaching to the public places, coming into the contact with each other, and because of that the infection rate is more among those younger population. Okay, and accordingly the article is also providing the way forward now. Surely the first and foremost focus should be on the golden rules of mask wearing, universal mask wearing, cough etiquettes, maintaining physical distancing, along with that hand sanitizing or hand hygiene, avoiding crowds, and pursue an aggressive vaccination drive. Here, especially the writer is of the view that there should not be no lockdowns. The government should not resort to lockdown because we have seen the impact of complete lockdowns earlier in first phase because it will impact the economic recovery and especially it will have huge impact on poor people, especially the migrant labor. Along with that, the poor people who are living in the rural areas, urban areas, they will be impacted more. The economic recovery will be impacted because of the lockdown and restrictions. There will be, let's say, restriction of movement of goods and labor, and therefore there will be less industrial activities. Okay, so that's why not resorting to the lockdowns or restrictions, there should be focus on these etiquettes here. Along with that, the vaccination can be made prerequisite for those who are coming in contact with large members of vulnerable population. Here you can take the example of teachers, public servants. Like for example, those public servants working in the railways. Okay, so they will be coming in contact with large population while doing their job. Okay, while giving their service. Teachers, they will be coming in contact with, let's say, vulnerable population, children. Okay, so that's why we have to understand they should be given the vaccination first. They can be included in the priority section. In rural areas especially, innovative methods for vaccination can be done. For example, mobile vaccination vans can cover inaccessible rural pockets and reach people unable to reach vaccine centers. This is good idea. Wherever there is no connectivity, no reach of formal health sector, we can say that such mobile vaccination vans will be useful here. Anyone found without mask in public may be given mask and charged for it. Now this is very simple, straightforward method. Instead of charging too much hefty fines, a simple, let's say, those person who are not wearing mask, they can be given mask and they can be charged for that mask nominal fees of 50 or 100 rupees. This is a unique way to make them realize that you need to wear the mask. Okay, so surely this is, let's say, beneficial. Along with that, each and every person who is not wearing mask is eligible to pay for that mask amount. So 2000 rupees, the person, not each and every person will be able to pay that much amount of fine. So that is not good idea, we can say that. Okay, so this is one of the way forward here you can mention. If all public figures wear mask in all their public appearances, citizens will get a clear and effective message. That means here we can use the word that is important in ethics, social influence and persuasion. This is part of GS4 ethics paper syllabus, social influence and persuasion. So those important personalities, figures in the society, especially like the Bollywood actors are there, cricketers are there, leaders are there. Okay, all of them, whenever they are in public appearance, they should be wearing masks. Okay, this gives the clear message to the people, their followers, because they have huge influence in the society. Right, so this is how social influence and persuasion methods, effective communication, these tools of persuasion will work here for people to wear masks. And lastly, the government's decision to give emergency use authorization to all World Health Organization approved COVID-19 vaccines is likely to bridge the gap between demand and supply. Okay, so at present we can say that demand is more, supply is less. Many states are arguing that they do not have enough number of vaccines. So because of that, there is becoming the problem, demand supply gap is increasing. So this can be solved by giving the emergency use authorization to all WHO approved vaccines. Okay, so this is how in different areas you need to talk about how to deal with this COVID-19 vaccine. In this manner, the responsibilities of state along with other important, let's say, personalities in the society, leaders and common people, their responsibilities to deal with this COVID-19 vaccine. Accordingly, you can mention here the responsibilities like, so yes, first, responsibility of the government, responsibility of the people, responsibility of the, let's say, important personalities, and lastly we can say that even NGOs, civil society organization. Fifth, private sector. Accordingly, you try to write the way forward. Even if there is essay paper, how to deal with COVID-19 pandemic, try to divide all the way forward measures under these headings. Responsibilities of each and every section of society, including government. Okay, so accordingly you can take input here, COVID-19 pandemic second wave. In similar manner, the second article also talks about this way forward. Some other inputs we can take here. Lessons from the first wave. Here we are talking some socio-economic aspects that we are going to consider here. Right. So what lessons we learned from the first COVID-19 pandemic, let's say wave, that we have understood. There was almost 2 month long lockdown in whole country, which reduced the economic activity in the country, and because of that many people faced the problem of loss of livelihood, loss of incomes, that made almost about 75 millions of Indian below poverty line. That has pushed almost about 75 millions below poverty line. This is one of the report of World Bank that was recently released. It was talking about the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on India. So you need to mention such facts in supporting your arguments analysis. Along with that, whatever the economic recovery that we are experiencing after COVID-19 pandemic first wave, that economic recovery, economic growth is not inclusive. Okay, so first, this is not inclusive. Why? Because some sectors, for example pharmaceutical sector or healthcare sector, it had a good, let's say, economic growth. However, other basic important economic sector, for example construction sector, tourism sector, travel sector, hospitality sector, all these sectors faced a severe problem, a severe loss of income. So that's why what happened is, we can say that this is not inclusive growth. Along with that, COVID-19 has affected the least affluent the most. That means the poor people who are not having the free access to the health or proper access to the health facilities, or even we can say that the secured sources of livelihoods, income, they face the major problem because of this COVID-19. Okay, so accordingly we have to understand and take measures for dealing with second wave here of COVID-19. For example, even introducing partial lockdowns again will widen the economic and social inequalities. So socio-economic inequalities that have been already widened because of COVID-19 first wave, we can say that the implementation of any kind of lockdown further will increase such inequalities. So what should be the way forward? As an alternative, interconnected industries should be aggregated and allowed to function at maximum possible capacity in multiple shifts. So interconnected, those we can say that they are interdependent for supply of some raw materials. Along with that, they are located in nearby region in isolated manner in industrial regions, we can say, not near to the let's say housing societies, we can say. So for that, for those industries, there can be a go ahead for full capacity working. Along with that, there should be further safety and health measures should be implemented while allowing such further industrial activities. At the same time, we can say that to create a demand, we have seen the demand contraction in the first wave because of COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent lockdown in the country. So to create such economic demand, aggregate demand in the country, government will have to step further and will have to account for this and urgently ensure cash stimulus packages at both individual level and institutional level. Now what will happen because of this? Because of this, there will be increase in demand creation, there will be increase in investment in the economy, and further there will be increase in economic growth, industrial activities, because of such investment and demand. So we can say that the role of the government here in economic terms is to create the demand through such cash stimulus packages. Next, accelerate vaccine production, procurement, distribution. This is again important because the demand supply gap that we are experiencing, this is problematic aspect. So production should be more, procurement from let's say these companies should be high, and distribution should be expedited. Okay, so this is important. Vaccination should be open for all age group, especially now the younger group who is experiencing higher rate of infection during COVID-19 second wave. So younger population should be again allowed for vaccination. Then with political will and public participation, we should now be able to save lives without compromising our population's livelihood. So this is the major argument now. Population's livelihood. So in first wave we learned about this, that because of lockdown the livelihood of the majority of the population was impacted. This should not be affected now while dealing with second wave. This is the major input that you should understand here as a feedback from first wave, how we dealt with that first wave. Okay, so first article that we discussed and the second article that we discussed, both are important as a way forward in dealing with second COVID-19 wave. Okay, now specifically for prelims related articles, United Nations Population Fund's flagship report, that is State of World Population Report 2021 with title My Body is My Own. So you need to remember the title of the report because for the first time bodily integrity, okay, so for the first time the bodily integrity or bodily autonomy, we can say, this is focused in this report. Bodily autonomy. What do we mean by bodily autonomy? Let us see the definition. It is defined as the power and agency to make choices about your body without fear of violence or having someone else decide for you. So basically it is focusing on the women's choices of we can say bodily autonomy that is facing the problem, especially in some of the developing countries. You can see here nearly half of the women from 57 developing countries do not have the right to make decisions regarding their bodies, including using contraception, seeking healthcare or even on their sexuality. Okay, so this is the situation. Along with that, only 75% of the countries legally ensure full and equal access to contraception. Right. So this particular report is focused for the first time on this aspect of bodily autonomy. This is also important when we talk about what are the examples of violation of bodily autonomy. This includes child marriage, female genital mutilation, lack of contraceptive choices leading to unplanned pregnancy, even we can say when the woman is not having choice to say no for we can say sexual activity even in married life. This is violation of bodily autonomy. Okay, and this is we can say that violation of the most important human right, the right to live with dignity and respect. So you can also relate this to your mains examination GS4 paper. Whenever there is, let's say we are talking about human values, or we can say that the basic human rights violated of women, there can be child marriage related or the other such women related case studies also. In that value at stake, you can say that bodily autonomy of the women is violated. This is how you need to take input from these articles. Okay, along with that, in essay paper, when we talk about the women empowerment or such type of subjects are there in essay paper, topics are there, you try to give such factual information and support your analysis here. How bodily autonomy is denied to women or violated from time to time, especially in developing countries like India, through such practices. Okay, yes, so for mains as well as for prelims, you can talk about United Nations Population Fund, this particular report, this name of the report, My Body is My Own, along with basic information about this international organization. This was in news last year also because of UN Population Awards. Yes, we have covered that earlier in the Hindu analysis. Now again we will repeat about basic information, it is United Nations Sexual and Reproductive Health Agency. It was established in 1969. Its headquarters is located in New York City, United States, and the publication is State of World Population Report. Just now it was released for 2021. Okay. Now, UN Population Awards are released in individual as well as institution categories to recognize the contribution to population and reproductive health. Okay, this was established in 1981, these awards. Actually, last year, 2020, Bhutan's Queen Mother was given this in individual category population award, as well as for organizational category HelpAge India, this NGO got this award here, which works on elderly cares. Okay, so this was in news in 2020 also. So there can be question in prelims examination on UN Population Fund 1969. Earlier we talked about this particular report also. Okay, yes. Next, what's unique about the Ramaswamy temple? So this particular news is there on page number 3 of Friday Review supplement with the Hindu. So in this article it is talking about uniqueness of this Ramaswamy temple. So let us try to understand the basics here. This Ramaswamy temple was built during Nayaka, we can say that, yes, completed during reign of Raghunath Nayak, 1600 to 1634 AD. So this was built actually when there was a decline in Vijayanagar Empire. Okay. When there was a decline in Vijayanagar Empire, small feudals, they formed different empires at their different states, and Nayaka state was there in Tamil Nadu region, in Kumbakonam region we can say that, and this particular temple was built for the victory of this Raghunath Nayaka over Deccan region, those kings in Deccan region at that time. Okay, so this is built in Nayaka style of temple architecture. Mainly it is followed Dravidian style of architecture with much emphasis on towering structures and elaborate carvings. In this particular temple, this Hanuman is playing Veena, such sculpture is there, and it is believed that Hanuman is singing Ramayana to Rama in this particular sculpture. Okay, so this is located in Kumbakonam. It is also called as Temple Town of Tamil Nadu. If you visit Kumbakonam, you will see more temples than the houses. This is how we can say that the Kumbakonam rich heritage and culture of southern India, Tamil Nadu, and also it is located on, we can say, river Kaveri. Fine. So this is the basic information. Nayaka style of architecture, temple architecture, follows largely Dravida style of architecture. You can see here the towers and the elaborate carvings. Fine. Yes. Next. WPI inflation quickens to record 7.4%. Yes. So this wholesale price index, which is calculated on year basis, this has reached to 7.4% now, and it is going to feed into higher retail prices in near term. That means the CPI inflation may increase in near future because of this. This is the views of economists. So this is why it has increased. The reason is that, yes, so the price gains at wholesale level are driven by 10.3% increase in fuel and power. So this particular section of this wholesale price index, this has increased, fuel and power. We'll see basics about this wholesale price index. This is compiled by Office of Economic Advisor. This basic information is important. It measures inflation at first stage of transaction, that is wholesale prices. Now this wholesale inflation is measured on year basis. Okay, and it consists of 3 major groups. So it is categorized, total 697 goods are considered here. Only goods and their prices are considered in CPI. Goods as well as services prices are considered. this basic information. Then the groups, three groups: primary articles, second fuel and power, third manufactured products. So manufactured products has highest weightage of 64.23%, along with highest number of articles, 564 number of commodities. Okay, then second highest primary articles, third is fuel and power. This is how we have to understand the number of articles and the weightage in this particular index, wholesale price index. There can be question on basics in prelims related: wholesale price inflation, what is consumer price inflation. Okay, yes, important caption and quotations. Yes, in this first article we talked about. So second article, yes, introducing even partial lockdowns again will widen economic and social inequalities. So focus on this socio-economic inequalities while giving the way forward here. COVID-19 has affected the least affluent the most. So these statements can be used in your answers while explaining the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on poor people, or how it has increased inequalities, socio-economic inequalities in the society. Fine? Okay. So yes, these were important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. For further information on editorial discussion classes or ED classes, wherein in-depth analysis of mains related articles is done by Ansari Sir and team, you can contact LUKMAAN IAS. At the same time, the new foundation batch is going to start. For registering for entrance examination for foundation batch, you can also gain the scholarship by attaining good marks, by gaining good marks in that entrance examination. So try to let's say register for that examination, try to attempt that paper and join our foundation batch. Thank you.